Hello. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find me. Yeah, I'm trying to find me on one of the gadgets. Except I can't find me. It's quite funny, really. I'm hoping you can hear me. Yay, I found me. It's a relief. Okay. So, how is everyone doing? Everyone good? I'm just, in case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just clicking a few buttons here and there. And yeah, trying to just find the comments box because I can't seem to find that. I found the video, but it's not loading the comments. So I'm trying to find that. Yeah, talk amongst yourselves or chat amongst yourselves while I look for the comments. Okay, I found it. Okay. Radio. Hello, 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 hello. What time are we at? 1:59. I should probably be, a bit more organized before I actually press the live button, shouldn't I? But nah, where would the fun be in that? It's do you know what? Last time when we did the live, if you remember, it was really sunny, and to be honest, I couldn't see what I was doing with the sun coming directly in my eyes and on my work and everything. So I was like almost ready to move tables and things around in the room in case it was going to be sunny. But now it's gone the other opposite where it's ultra cloudy and dull and gray. And yeah, basically it's gone the opposite way. It's quite funny, isn't it? It's like there isn't a happy medium at the moment. But at least I'll be able to see, especially when using the light wave. It will be good that it's not the sun that's glaring through. I still haven't got round to sorting out something blinds above there or something to stop the glare. I just thought the cheaper option was to move tables. Probably a bit more hard work, to be honest, than hang a cloth off the ceiling, than move tables. But moving tables seemed like a good idea at the time. But I haven't needed to do that today. So it's okay. Yeah, so it's 2:00. I think we'll start and see who joins us. I will upload this the live video onto YouTube as well, and put the link up for anyone who prefers to watch it on YouTube as opposed to watching it as a live not as a live. I mean, you're already here watching the live rather than watch it as a video on Facebook. So I will put that up. Yeah, what else? So we're basically doing this, and I'm growing butterfly plants. I mean, why wouldn't anyone need butterfly plants in their houses, right? I would love a butterfly plant. Can you imagine when the butterfly plant matures and fruits or whatever, these butterflies just flutter about. That would be so cool, right? That would be so nice. I think I would like a plant that grows butterflies. And also I thought let's do a bit of stitching. Of course, you don't need to do stitching. You do not need to have this plate. So for example, where I have the butterflies, you can maybe use flowers. Any flower plate will do. You don't need to necessarily, do the stitching and the butterflies. Use the example as a template for the layout of the card. I have used a straight a pattern border grid here, but you can use any grid plate, any of Josie's lace plates, to give you a border of thingamajig, what's it called? A lace border. So you could use any plates. If you already enjoy grid work, counted grid work, you can come up with your own grid pattern to put in place if you don't have this. So more than anything, use it as a template for the layout. Yes. Okay, so I am going to do a little one because, to be honest, the stitching takes a while, the lace takes a while. So this one would have taken us too long. And as it is, as you know, I tend to go over 2 hours more often than not anyway. So I think this will take us to over 2 hours, the little one. So I'm going to do a little one with just one butterfly, because once you know how, if you're stitching and once you know how to stitch one, you can do maybe a bigger one if you decide at a later point. Or this one is basically, sorry, excuse me. This one is, it's the bit. So because it's stitching, it gets pretty messy at the back. So it needed covering up. So I cut out another tag to cover the back. And it created this window. So I trimmed up the card because I really liked this card and the texture. And I used that. I used the window, put a piece of parchment behind it, and did the same design, but just this way, butterfly standing that way, and just a teeny tiny lace down there. But again, it's the same layout, just different orientation. It just seemed a waste to throw this piece out. So I used it to make a card. And I think out of the tags, I really like this. I think maybe because of the color combinations as well on this one. So I really like that one. We're going to do this one. And for this one, what did I use? I used the third tag, so I used this, oopsie daisy, this size tag, which is the third one along, to cut out my parchment, to cut out the paper. So what do I have? So I used that tag to cut out that size, the parchment piece, the something, you know what I mean, right? The something, designer paper. Generally speaking, to be honest, if I'm stitching, I tend to use card, because when I'm pulling the threads, I pull quite hard, and it for me, I sort of bend the paper. So for the paper is quite thin. It's just that I had this teeny tiny piece left, and it was the perfect size for this size tag. So I am going to basically use it and try and remember not to pull the thread too tight, that, it bends. I know a lot of people, when we first introduced the embroidery plates, who did use the designer papers very successfully. So, they're fine on its own. But if you, if you feel you pull the thread too tight, you can, of course, do a double. You could back up the paper with card and run it through your die machine, to get you a thicker backing, or use the designer card, because that is absolutely the perfect size. Like I said, for me personally, I just went with the paper this time around because I had a tiny piece left, and I think all of us hate throwing away anything that's pretty. Any little scraps of paper, we always tend to keep everything. So I'm going to use it, and I'm going to try and remember not to pull the thread too tight when I'm stitching. So parchment is going to sit on that while I stitch. And then again, I had this card that was left over from something I was doing. I cut out a window because I really like that. I must have run it through an embossing folder and brushed it with mica. And then I thought that can be the backing of my card, and that would be really pretty on the back as well. I mean, sometimes I feel, why shouldn't the back be pretty if the front is pretty? So I'm going to go with that for my backing. So that's an extra. And then, I mean, this one, I've got, again, another window I can always use at a later point, you know, to create something in the back of that. I'm going to put those out of the way because we don't need those at the moment. And I'm going to need my plate. So let's move the tags out of the way as well. Put those there because I'll need them to show as we go along. So you need your corresponding plate that goes with these dies. And of course, you don't have to do tags. You can, you know, just have a rectangle piece and turn it into a card if you wish. And I'm going to stick the tag, the cutout tag, onto the plate with Groovi tabs. If you don't have Groovi tabs, use any low-tack tape to hold it in place while we emboss around the tag. And there we go. Yes. Okay, we're going to rub it with tumble dryer sheet, a dry tumble dryer sheet, to help the tool glide easier. So I'm just going to rub it a little bit there and a bit there. And then when I take the tabs off to do those little bits, I'll rub it a bit more. So I'm not embossing the double outline. I'm only going to emboss one outline. You can emboss double if you wish. That's absolutely up to you. I'm just going to emboss one, and I'm going to emboss the middle one. So I'm going to do that. Turn it round. And middle one. I almost did the other one, in which case I would have done a double outline. That one. And sorry, I forgot to say I'm using the Pergamano 1. If you're using the Groovi tools, use the Groovi number 1. I'm going to move the tab to this side and do this over here. So I'm embossing in the groove to get the nice crisp outlines. Turn it round to this side, and I'm going to move that tab there, and I'm going to do this little bit here. So this little bit, I'm going to do a little bit at a time because it's coming around the corner. There we go. Voila. Okay, so I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to move this out of, oopsie, let's not tear it. That out of the way. And now I need the grid plate, the pattern grid plate. So so this is the pattern grid plate I am using. Like I said, if you don't have the pattern grid plate, you can use, if you have one of Josie's grid plates, you can use that. If it's a small tag like this, you want something that's like, you don't want to fill the whole thing because we're putting a lot of stuff on this little tiny tag. So you want just part of the design of the lace. Yes, so depending on that, right. and I'm going to put that there, that there. And what am I going to do? I think I'm going to start with the perforating of this pattern here. We used this pattern last time, the hearts one, and I thought let's use it one more time today because, you know, it's good practice to do the cutting of the diagonals on this one. You know, I find a lot of people find the diagonals quite hard to cut. So, you know, it's basically all about practice. So we'll use it again. We'll use the hearts again so we can get some more practice in to create our lace design on our tag. I need my super foam under here. And I'm going to use my light wave with this because I'll be able to see a bit better. So let's put, oh, there you go. That was a bit bright. So super foam, the plate, move that out of the way. I think I want my plate facing this way. So the hearts are facing me. Not that it matters because we're going to take it off, turn it around and do it the other way. Now you need to decide whether you want your tag facing this way. So that's the front. Hold on. It'll be easier to see it this way. That's the front. So do you want your tag facing this way or do you want your tag facing this way? Because you're going to decide whether you want your lace on the bottom this way, here, if it's facing that way, and if it's facing this way, you want it to be down here, your lace. Yes, because we need that space to grow our plant. Well, in my case, my butterfly plant. So I need the space up there to grow that. So I'm going to have my tag this time round this way. So I know I want to emboss and perforate my lace design down here. So keeping that in mind, it's down here. Yeah. And I'm going to try and remember that and not turn it as I move that out of the way. Otherwise, I'll have it the wrong way around. So I'm going to leave a little bit of space down here for when I'm growing my plant to bring the stem down a little bit from under here. If I go all the way here, I may not have enough space to put a stem. So I'm going to leave just a teeny tiny space, not like a huge massive space because otherwise my butterfly won't fit in there. And to make sure my butterfly will fit in there, I'm going to just hold the parchment there, bring my butterfly plate. So this is the butterfly plate I am going to use. And I'm just going to hold it up there to see it will fit. And that's fine because I have to remember that I am going to use this design, flip it over and do a bit more at the top as well. Yes, so there's enough double space there for me to get something in. So, you know, if you're not using this plate, then, you know, check the plate you're using to make sure that you're going to have enough space up there after you put the lace border ×2, because you have one here, you're going to flip it, you're going to have another one up there, and you know, one row of dots. So you wanted this design, if you're using this one, ×2 plus 1 millimeter kind of thing on either side. Does that make sense? Or was that far too many words and like completely like, yeah. Okay, so decide where you want it. I think I'm going to have mine there. And in this case, if I move my, no, let me stick it down before I show you, because then you'll be able to see what I was talking about, because my sleeve does get in the way. So I'm going to stick it down first. I'm going to stick that there. And, you know, if your border plate moves, or any of your plates, if they move in the plate mate, just use some tape. Hold on, let me just, multitasking skills 0. There you go. Yes, just put a bit of tape to hold the two pieces together. Especially when you're doing grid work, even if your plate is not moving in the plate mate, do put a piece of tape to hold the two together, just to keep them together. The reason being that even if it moves a little bit, when you turn it over and try and line it up, it is not going to line up as well. So generally speaking, I tend to, have just a tape to hold the two together, so it doesn't move for when I turn it over. So for this one, I'm going to be, do you know what I've done? I'm perforating first, which is to be done on the front. So I'm going to take that off. Sorry about that. And my tag is going this way, so I'm going to line it up again. I'm doing perforating first. So if you're doing perforating first as well, that is if you're crafting along with me, then make sure you're on the front and not on the back like I was just about to. And I'm going to line it up once more. So I'm lining it up. If you look at the edge here, I'm just lining it up, with those dots sitting between the emboss and the cut. Looks like a nice place to basically put it. That was close. Can you imagine if I perforated? I mean, it wouldn't have mattered because the only thing would have been that the emboss line would have been a deboss instead of a emboss. Okay, so I don't know why I did tumble dry a sheet, which I don't usually when I'm perforating, but I did because in my head I'm embossing. Okay, bold 1 needle tool. So I'm using the bold 1 needle tool. And I'm going to perforate, like I said, this border here, the one with the hearts. And I have got that tape in the way. I need to take it slightly higher. There you go. So holding the tool upright all the way into the hole. Yeah, I'm hoping you can all see that. And I don't know if I need to find a better angle for my camera, so when I'm doing this, my wrist doesn't get in the way and cover the part I'm demonstrating. Isn't that a lovely sound it makes? Who's crafting along? Sorry, I was just reading the comments, trying to read the comments. So I kind of stopped. I wanted to see who's crafting along. And then I just read Jade say she's got this up on her big screen TV, on her new TV. And I'm like, wow, that's clever. How does one do that? Because there's so many YouTube-like tutorials I like watching. And I find sometimes the phone screen pretty tiny. And I don't always take the laptop. I don't always turn on the laptop to watch it because, I'm quite lazy like that. Wouldn't it be awesome to have it on big screen? I'm going to have to read up on that, how one does that. I think someone else mentioned that last time, that they were watching it on their TV screen. And I forgot to ask, how did they do that? Quite a few of you crafting along. That's good. See, I thought if I read a few comments as I go along, that will force me to slow down, won't it? Because I know sometimes I go really fast. Because I forget that, there are some of you who are crafting along. I just assume, everyone just comes here so they can have a cup of coffee and an excuse to have a slice of cake at the same time. It's sort of what I call chill time. I've got so used to these. I really enjoy these Facebook Lives because they're just so, well, I find them I find them very relaxing. I basically just waffle and giggle, poke a few holes here on paper, poke a few holes there on paper, and then hope for the best, that it comes out okay. So that is what we have so far. Yeah, that's the pattern we have so far. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that, I'm going to turn it around, and this first set of holes, the slots and the squares, I'm going to line them up on the grid again, and you will feel them sort of, it's a bit like Velcro. It just slots into there when you line it up right. Can you see? It just works really well. And I'm going to tape that down again, and I'm going to tape it this side actually because I need to get to the edge there. So let's do it there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to perforate just the hearts that's left there. There you go. So we've got, on this pattern here, as you can see, we had the slots, crosses, and the hearts. But we've already got that row there. So all that's left to do is put these hearts in place. I'm just enjoying that sound, basically. That's why I've just gone quiet. You can cast from an iPhone onto Apple TV app if you have it. So now I need an Apple TV app. Cool. I'm going to really read up on this. Sounds pretty good. I'm hoping my wrist is not getting in the way of, well, covering where I'm poking holes. Not that it matters for this, but when I get to cutting, yeah, like I was saying, I really need to find a better way of putting the camera so my wrist, working wrist, doesn't get in the way of what I'm trying to demo. Can I get one there? Shall I dare? Shall I not? Shall I not? When you're perforating, you want to make sure you don't go onto the white embossed lines, because when you go on the white embossed line, you perforate it on it, it breaks that lovely white crisp outline. So it's best, you know, if like on this one, I'm like, it's 3/4 there, and I get the feeling if I perforate this teeny tiny hole here, I'm going to make a hole partly into that white embossed line. So as much as that is really tempting and my head is saying go for it, try it, I'm not going to. Not this time. I do that often when I'm doing grid work, but I am going to actually resist and leave it, which is so hard because, you know, as much as I'm saying I'm going to resist and leave it, in my head, it's telling me you can do it. Okay, so we can take that off. And I'm going to now change this grid, the pattern grid, to, helps to take the tape off, doesn't it? To Amazon Fire Stick. Ooh. Gosh, I have a lot to learn. I have no idea what an Amazon Fire Stick is either. Okay, hold on, I'll read it in a minute. I have changed the plate to a straight grid plate. So this is the border plate, the straight basic border plate, the bold one. They come in different sizes. There's the A5 square plate, there's a A4 plate, there is even a mini A6 baby plate. So any of them will do, as long as it is the straight basic bold grid. Yes, any of the sizes will do. For this one, I'm just going to go ahead with this one because these two plates pretty much, live together. Wherever I tend to put them, they live together. So I'm going to use for this one this. So what we want to do is basically we want to emboss around our perforations. So we're going to emboss on the back. Now, when we do lace work, what will make it look like lace is a combination of embossing, white work, as well as perforating and cutting. This looks very pretty on its own, and you could leave it like this if you wish. You could cut out those little diddly-doos. Each diddly-do has a name actually. This one is a heart. Sorry, I couldn't think of the names. So you could cut out the hearts, you could cut out the crosses, you could cut out the slots. So you could go ahead and do that if you wish. But I am going to actually emboss around it because it will make it look more lacy than on its own. What I'm doing is I'm actually taking out a few pins to help me line up my work. And you don't necessarily need to have pins because you can always position it like this and make sure you're on a straight and line it up and tape it down. I just find that I get much more. If I have perforated first, I like to use pins just to make sure that it is definitely all in place and, in line. So I think that it's a bit wibbly wobbly, but oopsie daisy. Hold on, let's stick it there and let's stick it there, and now I can remove the pins. So if you're doing long pieces of lace, or bigger areas, then have a few pins in your stash because it will really make it easier to line up your work. Okay, so now we need either your Pergamano 1.5 or your Groovi number 2 to emboss dots. We're going to emboss dots around there, and no, hold on, I am not going to emboss dots around there because I lined it up right to the top, but I need one more row of dots because so I need that row of dots, but as you can see, I have embossed the lace very close to that outline. Sorry, I perforated the lace. I should have left a bit more space, but it's okay. It will go right to the base. There we go. How's that? So I'm right on the edge. Can you see I'm right on the edge there when I emboss, but it's okay. After telling all of you, leave enough space, I didn't. But that's okay. So we're going to emboss around the design. And like I said, either Pergamano 1.5 or Groovi number 2. Now, when I emboss around, I like to emboss over a harder surface. But if you know you've got arthritis on your wrist or any pain in your knuckles, usually I find that embossing on a soft mat takes that pressure off your wrist and things. So you know, it's something to keep in mind. If you have pain, that you know, try it out on a softer backing. I want to take it off, but I don't want it to move. So hold on, I don't want it to move because I've lined it up. I'm going to tape that there before I move it. But I'm going to do mine on the hard surface because I prefer to do it on the hard surface. Okay, let's emboss. So first I'm going to go all the way around, zigzagging around there. So let's start here. So I'm just going to emboss one row around the perforations, one set, zigzagging around like this. Yeah. Have I gone off screen? So take your time going around, putting those dots in. Oopsie daisy, didn't get a full dot there. And where am I? Oh, here I'm at home. So there we go, almost there. And I'm not going to get one more here, so I'm going to leave that. So that was going around, yeah, zigzagging around. I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. So on the opposite side, it would be here, here, there, somewhere. I don't know. I'm pretty much going to just go wherever there is space. But, you know, zigzag around the perforations, one dot around the perforations. Yeah, is that making sense around there? I think this one would have been across as well. So there we go. Okay, now I know where I'm going. Yes, I know I'm supposed to know this beforehand, but I don't always. My brain gets a little bit confused every now and then. Well, a bit more than every now and then, actually. There we go. So that's the outside. As you can see, I wouldn't have been able to get one there and nothing around there. So I'm going to leave that as is. And then, how are we doing? Shall I continue? And then what we're going to do is we're going to emboss between the slots here and the crosses there. So you've got that space of 2 in there. Yeah? Everyone doing okay so far? And this one. And one more. Now, the heart here, we're actually going to cross out. No, we're not going to actually cross it out because that wouldn't make sense, would it? We're going to cut it out. So you can see the hearts here. We cut them out. but just between the slot here and the heart, there is one space there where we can put a dot. So here is our slot, the 3 by 2, 3 by 2, and on either side we can put a dot. I mean, even if you put, you know, embossed dots in there, if you did not want to picot cut these out, which is absolutely fine. If you're not picot cutting them out, then emboss those dots inside. You know, it will make it look pretty. But we don't need to, because that's actually going to fall out. Okay, I think that's about it on that one. So far we have got this. Yeah, so far that's what we have. Okay, so we're going to now put in the rest of the design. Like I said, I am using the embroidery butterfly plate, but if you don't have that, you can use any plate you want. Not necessarily an embroidery plate. You can just put a flower. You don't need to stitch. And I'm going to move these out of the way. But I'm going to stitch in my butterflies. I'm just going to put those there, and let me grab the other, this out of the way, and bring in this. So like I said, I'm going to stitch in there, but you may not. How many people actually have the embroidery plate, or any of the embroidery plates? When the embroidery plates were first introduced, it was a set of 4 plates, and then a few months later we introduced Christmas embroidery plates. And I'm not sure how many of you do have embroidery plates, or if you've seen them before. But I am going to use it because I like stitching on parchment. I just think it looks really pretty. So I'm going to use it. And you can see on here, there is dots on them. And basically those dots are there. We would emboss them and perforate them. I will show it, because I'm not going to make sense with words that I'm about to use, because already in my head it's not making sense, so there's no hope for you guys to understand me. I'm better at demonstrating. So we would perforate those, and those would be our stitching holes. So that's why there's so many dots on these plates. And like I said, there were 4 to begin with, which have got butterflies and flowers and dragonfly and that sort of things. And then, you know, closer to Christmas, we introduced Christmas ones. If you don't have the embroidery plates, you know, use any butterfly, use any flower. It doesn't matter. Just leave out the stitching. Yeah. So I am going to... Now, what I want to do is, because I want to have a stem, mine is a butterfly plant. So obviously my plant is going to need a stem and some leaves. So I want to make sure that wherever I put my stem, it is going to be, I'm going to have enough space down here, because I don't want my stem to end there or there. I want the stem to continue up to there. Then we pretend it is going underneath the lace, and we can see it coming through here. Yeah. So I'm going to position it so that, you know, I can get that stem in going through sort of there. And I'll take it quite high up because I want to leave enough space for the stem to show. So just approximately, you can use a ruler if you wish and draw it out with a pencil on the front, but I'm going to wing it at about there. And I've got enough space for, you know, the stem along there and a bit along there, and to get a couple of leaves in, because no point having a plant without leaves. It needs leaves, otherwise it can't make food to grow the butterflies. Okay, so I'm going to rub it with a tumble dryer sheet. Oh, I see a lot of you have the embroidery plates. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to emboss the thingamajig. I will let you know in a minute what the thingamajig is. The thingamajig with wings, butterfly. I was looking for my embossing tool, so I couldn't think two things at the same time. So, okay, we're going to emboss the butterfly. I'm not going to emboss the butterfly body here because, well, I don't need it. You can, if you wish. I'm not going to. So I'm just going to emboss the wings. Yes, the wings and the dots. So I'm using the Pergamano 1. You can use a Groovi number 1. And I forgot to mention, we're embossing on the back. Did I mention we were embossing on the back for the grid, or did I forget? I probably forgot. I can't remember me saying it. I usually actually don't remember if you know, for example, if I've told the kids off and then they remind me a day or two later that I said something to them, and I'll be like, I don't remember that. So, yeah. Selective hearing, I think that is. No, selective saying. Selective hearing, or one or the other. But I usually don't remember saying it. So that is all I needed. Yes, a butterfly. Or if you don't have the butterfly, a flower. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a stem coming from the middle of the body to down about there is fine, just so that it's like sort of middle of the wings. So I'm going to go from about there and emboss up to there, and then a little bit along there. Yeah. So now we have the stem on there. I don't know if you can see it. Actually, I keep doing that, and then I wonder if you can see it because the light wave is quite bright. So, okay, now we need leaves. So the leaves, these leaves, you can have any leaves you want. I have got these leaves from the plate itself because, you know, they look like little hearts, and I thought, you know, it just sort of went with the hearts we have on here. So I have these little heart leaves, and those are from this plate, and it is actually 2 of these. Yes, just 2 of these flowers here. So I'm going to take my tag. I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to emboss 2 of the petals, which have now become my leaf. There you go. Isn't that cute? It's a heart leaf. Everyone needs heart leaves, right? Do I want one? No, I'm not going to get one there. So there we go. And I'll put one on the other side. And, you know, you can use it to put 1 leaf if you wanted. It doesn't have to be a double. So if you feel your plant needs 1 more, then you can put just one extra. Shall I add it in? Why not? No. Yes, no. Shall I not? Oh my gosh, decisions. Do I want to? No, I don't. No, I'm not going to. But you can use just one petal. There's a reason I'm saying no, because I want to stitch beads here. Yeah, I'm going to stitch beads there. That's why I want this leaf, that space left there, to be able to stitch a bead. So, no. You can see I'm a very decisive person. There you go. Yeah. So see, you can get just one as well. Oh, where's some blank? There you go, one. Yeah, so you don't need to use two. But I thought they were quite cute like that, so that's what I used. Okay, next we're going to color those very quickly. And for coloring, what I used is the Perga Colors exclusives. So depending on the backing paper you are using, you are going to use pens according to that. Now mine is pink and purple, which is surprise. I can tell all of you are really surprised I'm choosing pink and purple, because I don't generally use pink, do I? So shock horror. So I'm going to go with the pink. The pink I have is number 5. So I think the top wings I will do pink, and then the lower wings I will do purple, and I'm coloring on the back. One of the main things when you're going to stitch on parchment is that you need to make sure you do all the other techniques you're going to do on your piece of parchment first. Stitching is the last thing you will do, because once you stitch your parchment to your backing card, you cannot go back. It's stitched. So then you cannot go back and color in things, or perforate and emboss and all that. So you need to make sure that you do all the techniques first before you stitch. And I don't know, for those who are crafting at the same time, if you have your backing paper cut already, because you're going to need your backing paper if you're stitching. So if not, you may want to go and cut some backing paper. Let me know on here if you need to go cut your backing paper. I will wait for a little bit. Look, my butterfly plant is pink and purple. It's going to grow loads and loads of pink and purple butterflies. How cute is that? And I want a green for my leaves, because leaves will need to be green if it's going to make food. And there we go. So I think that's pretty much all the coloring on there I am going to do basically. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this here. There you go. So you can see it a bit better there. So there's the basic from the front, what my plant looks like. Isn't that a pretty plant? I really want a butterfly plant now. Does everyone have backing papers ready? we're going to, you've still got time to go cut your backing paper if you need to. We need to cut out our lace, cut in between there, the lace. So you're going to need either your pergamanos, either the scissors, or you're going to need your perga cutters. And we're ready to cut that cut the race. No, that just came out so wrong. That just, even in my head, that was like so wrong. Cut out the lace. Oh my gosh. Oh dear, that wasn't what I wanted to say. Okay, let's cut this. So when we have lace work like this, where there's diagonals and there's straights, it's always good to do the diagonals first. If you have a look on here, the space between the diagonal is a lot wide. It's wider than where it is straight. Yeah, so we aim to cut those diagonals first. Let me show you one first, one of these hearts. So let's do the hearts first. So let me show you one heart, and then what we generally tend to do is that we do all the perforations that go in the same direction all at the same time. Yes? So I'm going to show you what this heart looks like in case you didn't watch the last live where we did this. So we'll do a recap. So first I am going to cut. No, I am not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Oh dear, 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 dear. I want a piece of paper. That's what I want. That's why I'm a little bit like confused, because I should have had a piece of paper ready to show you. No, not a piece of parchment, just a normal piece of paper. So for those who didn't join in or didn't watch last time's video, what we have is we have 1, 2, 3, and 1 there, and then 1 there, and then 1 there. Can you imagine cutting these size? That would be a bit of a challenge. And then is it 3 diagonal? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's the shape we have. So what I mean by cutting the diagonals first is we're going to cut these two. We're going to then cut these two. We're going to cut these because those are your diagonals. And we are going to cut these. Yes, and then we will go back and cut between the straight perforations. And that's the shape we will get when it falls out. Okay. So let's bring the tag and this. So I'm going to work here. So I'm going to cut these two first. So just the tips into the holes, just the tips, and scissors over the waist. So this is the waist. This bit is what is going to fall out. So scissors over the waist, just the tips. And as I cut, I'm going to give it a little twist towards my left. You may prefer to twist towards your right, depending on whether you're left-handed or right-handed, or you may prefer not to twist your wrist at all. So it really depends on what's most comfortable for you. So we've done that one. So now I'm going to perforate between these two diagonal holes, and that's the waist. So my scissors are over the waist like this. And I'm going to twist ever so slightly towards my left. I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to work these diagonals next. So scissors over the waist, just the tips, and twist towards my left. Now, if you're struggling to cut your diagonals, sometimes what helps is as you're cutting, rather than cutting in one go, what you can do is, please practice on the side and see if it works for you. It may not, but it's worth giving it a try. So what you do is you put the scissors, just the tips in, and what I do is I cut a little bit, I release my scissors a teeny tiny bit, I cut a bit, release. So I'm cutting it really, really gently and slowly. I'm almost letting the parchment relax in between. And then I will cut the straights. Still remembering the scissors go over the waist. So there we go. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to do all of them, all the ones that go in the same direction at the same time. So we're not turning the parchment each and every single time. So starting with this, so I cut a bit, I release a teeny tiny bit, cut a bit, release a teeny tiny. I find sometimes I get better V's on diagonals that way rather than when I'm trying to cut them all at, cut them in one go. But like I said, for me that works. It may not work for you, so try it out on the side. And I always go a lot slower when I'm cutting diagonals. So take your time. We've got all afternoon. I do anyway. You may have something more interesting to do, but I don't. So you can see now I'm working on the third side of the third diagonal side. I'm concentrating, so I'm super quiet. Well, no, I'm not super quiet. I'm sure I could be quieter. But that would be a bit boring, wouldn't it? Actually, it might be a bit peaceful. And then the last side of the diagonal. And I'm going super slow. Definitely, I'm going super slow on my diagonals. So there we go. That's the final one. And now I'm going to cut the ones that are straight. So these. With that, I'm a bit faster now. Turn it round. So these are my straights now. Come back. It's a bit tiny to hold on to. But the bigger tag would have taken us a very long time to do. And you can always do those, if you enjoy the process, do it later. Well, or you can do it now. But finish it later is what I meant. There we go. So there's the base of our hearts. And you can see what's fallen off are even prettier hearts. And you can keep these if you wish. They would look really pretty in shaker cards. If any of you make shaker cards, those would be quite cute. I don't make shaker cards, so okay, so we're going to do these now. And again, I am going to start with my top diagonal here. So all the ones along there. Is everyone doing okay with their cutting? And then this. How's everyone doing with their cutting? That's if you're using diagonals on your grid patterns. I'm moving further and further away from the screen, aren't I? Turn it round. And I'm going to do these. And sometimes it seems to cut, you know, as I'm cutting through, sometimes it seems easy enough to do it in one go. But other times it seems to, in my case, need a couple of cuts. The other thing is that, you know, it depends on how sharp your scissors are. My scissors are ultra old. I've had this one's for, I have to say, for at least 28 years. No, 20 years when I first started parchment. And yeah, every now and then they feel like they feel blunt. But what I tend to do is I tend to just do little, to sharpen them, do little snips on tin foil. And that sort of, you know, helps sharpen them a bit. And breathe. So now the straights. Now, before I do the straights, this one here is only a partial heart. If you have a look here, whoops, that's just a partial heart. Now, I wasn't paying attention when I was cutting. I could have left it and not cut it out, but I think it would have looked very odd not to cut out at least part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go diagonally here just to give it some sort of cutting. So when I do all the straights, it will fall off. So it will just look like it's half a heart there. I was supposed to do these ones first on the sides. I really enjoy doing grid work, and like Josie's lace grids, these grid patterns, they just make doing grid work so much easier, and give you sort of beautiful results without having to count every dot, every hole. But there is a place definitely for doing counted grid work. You know, if it's something you want to learn, definitely, you know, it's always worth trying it, right? But sometimes we want more instant results. So, you know, any of the grid plates are a great investment. There we go. So that's all the hearts done. Let's get these bits off. And then we'll do the crosses and the slots. Okay, so we're going to do the crosses and the slots there. So I'm going to go across all of them, turn it round, come back, and turn it round 4 times. So when we're doing the crosses and the slots, these are our waist bits. They're the bits that are going to fall off, all these middle bits. So our scissors are going to go over that, just the tips into the two holes at the top, and I'm going to snip. So with the slots, the same thing. There's our waist. Those are the two at the top. Scissors, just the tips in, and snip and snip. And you're going to do that all the way across. The screen on my laptop, because when I look up to read a couple of comments, it seems to be freezing. I don't know if you guys are having the same issue. Is your screens freezing? I'm wondering if it's my Wi-Fi, because it's like completely frozen my screen. So I'm still hoping all of you are still there. I don't know if my Wi-Fi's kind of failed, and because nothing's happening like with the video. Confused. Do I continue? Do I stop? What do I do? I don't know. I'll just continue. Oopsie daisy. Well, if it hadn't failed till now, it will now. No, it's not freezing for you. Oh, that's good. So I don't know why my laptop's frozen. See, the comments are coming through, so obviously there is some sort of Wi-Fi. Just the video bit is not working. Okay, sorry. I have turned it round. So it's good to know at least it's sort of working for you guys, and I can continue, but I don't know. I'll have to check that later. So I've turned it round. So we did the top ones there. We turn it round to the next set of holes, and this time we are going to come down this way, scissors over the waist, and then turning it round. So the third side. Yeah, it seems to be working for all of you, just not me. That's okay. I find it confusing anyway to look at the video, because there is from what I'm demonstrating to what I was being able to see on the screen, there was a time lag. So I was getting confused anyway. So just as well it's frozen, right? That much less confusion in life. And then the final ones is coming back down this way. And these should start falling off now. And there we go. So they're beginning to fall off there. And then this little bit here. There we go. How cute is that lace pattern? I think I'm in love with these leaves. I just love those leaves. I mean, who wouldn't want hearts as leaves on their plants? all the plants. Isn't that cute? So out of everything I could pick on the plate, on the design, I'm saying I like those leaves, the smallest things there on the design. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are ready to perforate the holes on the butterfly, because we're going to stitch those. For those of you who are using this stitch plate, we're going to stitch that. So what we need to do is we need to take the parchment, put it over the backing paper, if you're doing a tag, then your backing tag, and you can either stick these two pieces with low tack tape to hold them together while you perforate the holes, or in my case, I am going to use a paper clip. I've got this folded piece of paper, it's just folded in half, and I'm going to sandwich the two pieces like this and hold it together with a paper clip. Yes, that's one option. The reason I use the paper in between this those two is so it doesn't damage any of the work we have done on the parchment. All right, this is the option. This is the way I normally hold the two pieces of papers together. But if you were using low tack tape, for example, your Groovi tabs, you would do exactly the same. So I'm going to put the Groovi tab there, fold it round and stick that to hold those together. Now with the Groovi tabs, I might need another one here. So where's all my Groovi tabs gone? So you can do that and hold it down. But you know, if you're using Groovi tabs, for example, make sure they're not your ultra old ones that have lost most of the sticky, because it's not going to hold the two pieces together. You might be better with low tack masking tape or something to hold the two pieces together. And this is look, that's what's happened, because the piece is really small, so it's not keeping the two things together. And Groovi tabs are pretty low tack. So that's one option. I'm going to take that off. I'm just showing you a few options of putting the two pieces together. The other one, like I said, exactly the same as your Groovi tabs. You're going to use low tack masking tape, which I don't have at the moment. Not really low tack. You know, if you're using low tack masking tape, you want to make sure you use low tack masking tape that is not going to tear your backing paper when you remove it. That's really important. I'm going to go back to my paper clip idea, and that's what I'm going to use, because those two pieces are going to be held together securely like this. If it was a larger piece, I would put you know, one on this side and one on that side, on the opposite side, to hold it together. Yeah. Okay, so now you're going to need your fine one needle tool, and we are going to perforate the holes where the dots are. So I'm going to bring that, I'm going to bring that, I'm going to bring that. So you want to once again, oopsie daisy, you once again need your super foam. Yes, your super foam. This time we're going to use the one needle fine tool. The bold one needle tool will make the holes too big. And on some of the designs, the holes are so close together that, you know, it can end up being one big hole if you use the bold tool. Let me just grab the plate to show you. So for example, on this plate, over here, Can you see these two? They are really close. Those two holes are would be really close to one another. And if we use the bold one needle tool, that's just going to end up being one big hole. So that's why, you know, the fine one needle tool is what we need to use. And also, we don't want really thick holes because the thread will otherwise just float in that space. We want it to still look quite delicate. Right, so very carefully, take your time and holding the tool upright over the, I'm going to put my glasses on. Holding the tool over these dots we have embossed, we are going to perforate. So take your time lining it up before you go through to make sure you have got it in the right place to perforate. Now the reason we decided not to not to drill the holes already into the plate is because, you know, as much as you would have been able to perforate on the parchment when you were tracing and all that, you would have still needed to put the parchment on the backing paper and perforate those holes again to make the holes on the backing paper as well. And if you miss going through the parchment into the backing paper, once again, you know, you're going to have either one big hole or you're going to have two holes quite close to one another. So this way, you know, at least you're just going to have one hole when you're doing both the layers at the same time. And definitely, you know, take your time before you go all the way through. And remember to breathe. I'm holding my breath. I don't know why. Not a good idea. Isn't it funny how when we're doing certain things, we do hold our breath? So almost there. And what color thread shall I use? I haven't thought that far actually. I think I will use... Oh, decisions again. This is so hard, making decisions. So there we go. That's all the holes on there. Yeah. What colors have I used so far? So let me show you. On this one, I've used a purple, metallic purple thread. On this one, I've used sort of a multicolored in gold thread. And on this one, I've used a white embroidery thread. So, oh, I don't know, bronze or silver or gold? What should I use? Or black? Oh, decisions, decisions, decisions. You're gonna need a needle. So I've got my needle on there. This is, I've just stuck like a magnetic little bit on my little box of needles, and that way I know that when I'm done with a needle, it goes on there, so I'm not dropping it absolutely everywhere. So this is a bronze. Do I want bronze? Or do I want silver? Or do I want gold? Let's go with gold. Silver? Okay, we're going to go with silver since Elizabeth said silver. So we're going with the silver. Thank you for making my decision for me. It makes my life so much easier. So when you cut your thread, you don't want, especially if you have metallic threads, they do tend to fray and kink, get these little kinks in them. So don't have it too long. It's better that you take shorter pieces and rethread on your needle as and when. I usually generally go to about 40 centimeters approximately to 50 centimeters, but not longer than that, just so it doesn't get all knotted and things. So okay, so here's my needle. Now this is a needle from the ones ClarityStamp stock, and I think they're absolutely fantastic needles. I find them very easy to thread, and I'm just going to turn the light wave on for this little bit, but I don't want it to go all so when I thread my needle, I like to have my light wave on. And if I don't know if I'm hoping you guys can see, but here's the hole of the needle eye, and I take my thread, and there we go. Yes. Now, if you don't have the needles from ClarityStamp, what you need to make sure is that whichever needle you have, it's fine enough. You don't want to have a needle that's very thick, because again, what will happen is where the holes are very close to one another, you're going to end up with one big hole. So make sure your needle is fine enough not to make these holes any bigger. So there's our needle threaded. What we're going to need is a bit of masking tape. Now this is not super low tack masking tape. This is a little bit sticky, because we are going to use this to stick the thread down at the back. I can't cut it. There you go. So it's a little bit tackier than normal, really low tack masking tape. Another thing you can use is your double-sided sticky tape if you wish. It's basically just to hold the thread down. We're going to start on the back. I'm going to start here, which is going to be hole number 1. So at the back there, and so there you go, at the base of the wing, yeah, and I'm going to pull this through to the front, leave a tail like this here, and stick this down. There you go, and that is going to hold the string down. I'm just sticking it down, yeah, just there you go, and there you go. If I'm pulling that, obviously we're not going to pull that really hard that it comes off, but it's not something we're going to keep handling. So as long as it's stuck down like this, it's fine. Then from the front, we're going to work on this central vein first, and we're going to do back stitch. Oh no, I'm on the wrong hole. So I'm doing this one. So this one, the central vein there, and we're going to do back stitch. So we've come up hole number 1. We're going to go into that one along there. Yes. So that one along there, hopefully. So now we're on the back. Now on the back, we're going to go up along the next hole, along the middle there. Yeah, pull it through. And now, see this gap here? This is why we go back. I guess this is why it's called back stitch, because we need to go back to stitch, to fill that gap with a stitch. There we go. Yeah. On the back, we're going to go forward 1. There we go. Turn it to the front. And now we're going to go forward 1 to the next hole. So what you'll find is on the front, you will be going, when you're doing a back stitch, you will be going forward 1, then back 1, forward 1, back 1. But on the back, you're going to be constantly moving towards the next hole. So now we need to go back because we need to fill this gap. And on the back, we're going forward, always going forward on the back with the back stitch. And there we go, forward 1. So that's given us the middle vein. Yeah. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to create this little fan, the V's, like veins from either side going diagonally. So we're on the back. It doesn't matter which way you want to go, either this end or that end. They're the same on both sides. So pick either this half or this half. Go into the next hole. So I'm going to go into this one. Yes. So the thread, this is, oh, hold on. Let's move this out of. That's the thread we had come out. And this is the hole we are going into, the next one along. And now you're going to go diagonally like this. So not into the one, not back here, but diagonally there. Yes. Pull it up. Now, this was our last one. So we're going to go next one along there. And on the front, we're going to go diagonally into here, the next one along. Yeah. So next one along there. And diagonally on the front. Is that making sense? Everyone good with that? Does anyone need me to like show it again? So I'm just going diagonally on one side. You could have gone, so although I'm working on just one half of the wing, you could have done, you know, this one, done that one, this one, this way, you know, both sides at the same time sort of thing, and then come towards the center. But I decided I was going to work one half, then I'll go to the top here and work this half. But like I said, you could have done both sides, you know, alternately. So that's one, oopsie daisy, there you go. There's one half of the wing. Yeah. So I'm going to come right to the top again here at the first empty hole. Bring that through to the front and go diagonally. Now this second half is easier to see if you're just starting off doing stitching, where diagonally you're going to go, because you've got the guide here. So each time you're just going into the one that's on the other side in the middle. So there we go. That's one wing done. So that's one wing. The silver is very pretty. Okay, we're going to do the other wing exactly the same. So we're going to work up the middle first. So back stitch for the middle. There we go. So on this wing, I will show you working both sides at the same time. Ouchie. And the needles are very sharp. My threads box, I'll show you. This is my threads box. I have a lot more threads than this, by the way. But look, essentials. You need these in your thread box. Ouchie. Everyone needs plasters in there. Oopsie daisy. I mean, after I've finished this middle bit, the parchment, to be honest, is not going to move anymore. So I will remove this because it's not going to move anymore. Can you see? It's definitely well and good attached in the right place. So you just really need, you know, a fair amount size before you remove your tape or clips or whatever you've used to keep the two pieces together. So I'm on the back. So now I'm going to come on this side, next hole at the top there. And I'm going to go diagonally to the middle. There. And because I was going to show you, if you didn't want to work one side down and then come all the way up and work down, how to do both sides at the same time as an option, if that's what you might want, if that's what you may prefer to do. So I want to bring the needle up at this hole. So there's two ways, you know, whichever way you prefer. For example, you're going to get the same results no matter which way you go. And then you're going to bring it diagonally into that one. So now you're going to go on the opposite side to the next hole along there. And bring it diagonally to the middle there. And diagonally here. So you're basically just doing exactly the same, except you're working on both sides as you come to the base of the wing. So whichever way. Oopsie daisy. How's everyone doing? Almost there. And then we'll do the lower wings. And I'm going to stitch beads on this. You don't need to stitch beads if you don't wish to. I'm going to, of course, use sequins because I like sequins. And I'm going to stitch the beads through the I'm going to stitch the bead and the sequins. So, but if you're not stitching beads, you may prefer to just stick the, if you're going to use sequins, use the sequins, sorry, stick the sequins with glue dots. It's up to you. I am going to come to the base of the lower wing here, this one here. No, actually I'm not. I am going to come to this one here, the top one here. Yes, because I'm going to show you the fanning happening on the front as we stitch. So I've not come to the base center here. I've come to the next one up along there, because I want to show you on the front. So this is our first stitch there, like this. And we're going to create like this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. So it's going to create a nice pretty fan. So next, we've come from the center. We need to go to the top hole up there next to the first one. And we're going to bring it to the center, to the base. To the top. And then to the base. Oopsie daisy. So next one along and to the base. So for this one, basically, we are going back to the base each time. So this one hole is going to have the thread going through it 5 times. There we go. So we've got that fan. Yeah. So now we're going to repeat that on this side. So I'm going to start from there. Go to the base. Next one along. Oopsie daisy, come back. And once you get the hang of it, you know, if you're doing this for the first time, it becomes a lot quicker. Once you've got the pattern, you know the pattern you want on the front. And last one here. And that's it there. Okay. So now for my, let's move this out of the way. For my center there, I'm going to put a sequence. Now, I think all of you have seen my happy box here. I get my happy box there. Yes, so I'm going to choose a sequin color. What color should I go with? Should I go with this purple? I'm going to have, let's see. Where's the purple gone? Is this purple? I don't know. Or is that too light? It is pretty, but I think it might be a bit too light. And then I think this might be too bright. No, that's quite pretty. How about purple one instead? I like the purple. I think I'm going to go with the purple one. Okay, so this is why we need lots of sequins. That way we can spend more time deciding what we actually want to use. If I only had one color, I would have been stitching by now. I'm going to have 3 sequins. What I also need is, because I'm going to stitch a bead as well, I am using beads. I'm using size 11 seed beads. So I have got a box here with a whole bunch of seed beads. I have got so many seed beads. I have got as well, you know, individual packets of seed beads. So size 11 is a nice sort of small size, because you don't want them too large. You get smaller than size 11, which is a size 15, I think. I can't remember at the top of my head. Size 15 as well. So, you know, but I generally, when I'm stitching beads, I tend to use a size 11. See, like this one here, that's really fat, isn't it, compared to this? It's too wide. Now these are just these are not proper beading seed beads, like the ones that you do bead weaving, because for those you would need your beads pretty much the same right through if you were doing a bead weaving. So these ones, they're all, you know, some are thicker and some are thinner, because they're just a cheaper option to proper beading seed beads, size 11 seed beads. But these are fine for this, you know, I don't need ultra expensive ones. So I'm going to put a sequence and I'm going to stitch a bead over the top. So first what I need to do is I need to get my 1 needle tool, and in the middle there I'm going to make a hole. So I'm going to bring the thread from the back to the front. Pick up a sequin like this. Pick up a bead like this. So I've got a sequin and a bead. And then I'm going to move this thread out of the way. I'm going to move the bead out of the way. And I'm going to go through the sequins and into the same hole again to the back. And this will anchor the bead in place. Yeah. Now I want 2 more, and I might have 1 here, 1 there, or 1 there, or 1 there and 1 there. I don't know. Yep, I might have 1 there, 1 there. So with my 1 needle tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a hole here and make a hole there, because I know that's where I want them. But I also want a bead on either side of these. I mean, if I've got my bead box out, why not? So I'm going to put a bead on those. I don't know if I want a bead, 1 bead there or not. I will see. Let me do the ones on the stems first. So the hole, pick up a bead and go back through the same hole. Oopsie daisy, my thread came out. And there we go. Just threading the needle again. Next one along, which is this one. Pick up a bead. Through the same hole. And where is the hole for that? Is it here? I can't see it. I think it's here. Is it? Yeah. Through there. And bead. And and the same hole. Now decide if you want more beads on your, yeah, see, I think it needs one here because that feels like it needs something here. So I'm going to put one more. It feels sort of empty in this space. So I'm going to put one bead there. So I'm going to jump to that hole at the base. Move that out of the way. And same hole. Oopsie daisy, where is it stuck? If you're going to put beads and sequins, it's always a good idea to add those in sort of at the end, as opposed to, you know, if you're doing flowers, we get tempted to put them in the flower centers right at the beginning. But what happens is that the thread basically keeps getting caught around it. So I usually put my sequins and beads right at the end. And then I need to come back. See, that the thread here is not pulled tight enough, and this is going to work itself loose at some point. So just make sure it's nice and taut at the back. So I'm going to jump across here. And now here I had decided I was going to put a sequence. So I'm turning my sequence to the back. And I want a thin one, yeah. Oh, that's not too thin, but it'll do. So sequence, a bead, and leaving the bead out, go through the sequence into the same hole, and that will anchor the bead in place, yeah. Into the next one there. Sequence, bead, oopsie daisy, come back, and through the sequence only and the hole. And there we go. Now to end the thread, I'm going to remove that needle and I'm going to put it. Oh no, what happened? Is everyone there? I don't see anything happening. Oh, you're there? Okay. Panic set in there because now my screen has gone completely blank. I was like, I'm so close to finishing this and everything sort of disappeared. It's gone blank completely. Oh, phew, at least you're there. Okay, so to finish the thread, basically, you know, we're just going to stick it down. So I've got my masking tape, or if you're using double-sided sticky tape again, use double-sided sticky tape and just stick that down. So I'm just going to just stick it down really well. And then I'm going to trim off the excess. I am so glad you guys are there and you can see the video, right? Because on my screen it says sorry, cannot play the video. So I'm kind of a bit confused as to if you can see the video. Can everyone see the video or can you only hear my voice? I don't know. All fine. Thank you, Helen. So you can see the back is pretty messy, and you wouldn't leave your tag like this. If you were doing a card, it wouldn't matter because you would be sticking this onto your backing card. But because this is just a loose tag. Now where did I put? Hold on. I don't know where I put my backing tag to cover up the, oh, here it is. So I'm going to use this to stick this and cover the mess that's there. Now I've kept it ready this time, and I've just used tape liner, red tape liner pen. No, red tape double-sided. You know what I mean. I got all worked up about the video, so I'm a bit confused. Take your time lining this up. Do you know what? It'll make sense to do it this way, won't it? No? Just take your time lining it up. Lining it up. I'm being fussy, yes. There we go. I'm going to hold that there. And I am going to take these off now. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to take this off, but I don't want to stick it down quite yet because I want to make sure that before I stick it down completely, because the red tape is a nightmare. Well, there's no way you're going to get it off again. If you get it, once it's stuck down, it's stuck down. That's it. So I'm taking just slowly to make sure it's in line. There we go. And to finish that, my ribbon, which was here somewhere under all this, and I have no idea where I put it now. Because I moved stuff, now I've sort of lost my stuff I had kept aside. Here we go. And I'm going to get my ribbon. I'm going to just fold it. Bring the fold through. Oopsie daisy, not quite like that. Like this. Now, if you enjoy doing the grid here, but if you want to learn to do traditional counted grid work, I have got a workshop coming up next week on Saturday that you can join, and we're doing traditional counting grid work. So if you're interested, message me and I will send you more details about it. So sorry, this is fiddly. Come on, go in there. So during the live, we're basically going to do little samplers. We're going to work through 8 grid patterns and then do samplers. It's a paid workshop via Zoom. And there's a bonus pattern of a card, completed card. And this time round, I've done a video for that as well. So you get 2 videos this time. And I'm just going to trim that so it's nice and neat on the edge. So let's just trim that like this. And there we go. And there is the card. So here's one. Here's my 2 little baby ones. And this is the same thing, but in card form. So I've got lots of butterfly plants. Isn't that pretty? So yes, if you're interested in the May workshop, we are doing grid patterns. So these are the 8 grid patterns we're going to work through. So although they're individual samplers, I've stuck them basically on one card here because you know, I did some where I kept them all individual. all 8 as individual, but this one I have stuck them all onto one card, 8 by 8 card. And then I did another one here, the same grid patterns, and you can see it looks so different as an extra sample. So there is that one, but just to show you very quickly, this one is one of the grid patterns, but can you see I've stitched, rather than cut those picot crosses, I've stitched those. So you can use your grids, your lace patterns, to make the holes and stitch them. Yeah, so a bit more stitching there. Can you tell I like stitching? I definitely like stitching. I look for anything I can stitch, to be honest. So, well, there you go. That's all the ones that I have created for this. This one, you know, I used the same embroidery thread and just sort of strung a few beads to create my loop there rather than using a ribbon, which was just a bit of fun. Why not, right? So there we go. That one's worked loose. You see, the string wasn't pulled tight enough. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing all your creations. It would be so nice to see them and see what you have used, colors, whether you use butterflies, flowers, what lace patterns you used as well, if they were different to what I've used. So I look forward to seeing those. Have a lovely evening. And look, we were less than 2 hours this time. Wow. That's awesome. I don't think we've ever been less than 2 hours. Anyway, got distracted there. Yeah, and have a lovely weekend, the rest of it. Enjoy your tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Bye.